let's continue on with part 4. So we have created everything here now, and we have this, but we want to make sure that this click action which we created will trigger basically the update of the chart. Remember, we're using data structures here, meaning that we can use that trick to update data immediately with that. So let's start to do this. So we have here this, and I'm going to move this here up just for the sake of it. So this is the change chart. So in here, what I really want to do here, this should not eventually be a value that we click on here, because basically look at what we're clicking on. If we click on the 0 here, we index 0, I guess it will not show you here any information, or maybe it might. Let's see here, element, or is it labels, or index, parse, or raw? That's a nice one. You can see here, we can see in the browser, Chrome, and if we click on the other one, would be the Firefox and Safari. So what we want to do now is, instead of that, or instead of calling this value, I would change the name, and this should be called browser. That's probably a far more descriptive term. So we click on this, and we want to show them the matching browser. So to do this, we can comment out this because we don't need this anymore, but we're going to work here within this function and start building the function. So what are we going to do? Because we have our data structures, we are able to quickly adjust this here. So what we need to do here is basically get the position of the parsing, and then here we're going to change this one with the matching values. So what are the matching values? Well, let's look at this. This is the browser we had here. You're just getting the browser, and if I'm not mistaken, the market share. What we want to grab now is, instead of the browser, we want to go more deeper into the version data, and then here we can see here the version, whatever the version is, and how many users are using it. So as you can see here, 150 users in total with a market share of 70. Of course, all fictional. And then this here altogether should be 150 users, and this is 70 should be normally percentage, because market share is calculated percentage. So what we want to do now is, of course, the breakdown, that we can see every version, and of course the amount of users per version in the bar chart. So this is not the percentage, it's just the amount of users. So let's start and work on that. To do this, what we need to do here is in the versions, get this, and then data versions, grab this one here. Remember, this is still an index, and we get the index number already. If we click on it, we can see here immediately at the bottom the index numbers, or the dataset numbers. So with that, we can easily grab now the item we need. So let's scroll down here. And what we're going to do is the following. Let's see here, where are we? In our function. There we are. And then in here, we're going to say, first of all, my chart. We want to go from my chart, go into parsing, and then here, these two. We need to reassign now the item. So how do we do that? In my chart. And then we say .config, options, and then in the options, .parsing, and then we say here, let's grab the x-axis key. This will be equal to what exactly? Well, we can just later on check that. And then we have another one here for the y-axis. So we have this one here. So what exactly did we need? As I indicated before, it was the version data and then the version itself. So how we do that? We can just copy this. Basically, we're going to type in this .version. So it will understand immediately, because we already have this data browser, it will understand this already. So it will go in here and instantly grab whatever we want. In this case, version data, and the other one would be users. So basically these two, one will be for the x value, the other one will be for the y value. So I'm going to cut this out. And if you wonder which one for the x and which one for the y, the versions is for the x value. Why? Because, well, let me explain why. I'm using y too much, and y can be confusing in this sense here, because we have the x-axis and the y-axis. So the versions here, because this is the category that we show on the x-axis. The users here is the 10 that shows here on the y-axis. So let's go back here. I have here these two. Cut this out. Paste that in here. Cut that one out. Paste this in here. Put it in there. Alright. Once we did this, what we can do here is the following. What we need to do here now is to start combining the values. So we're going to grab this, but we need to make sure that these values are looped properly together. This is very important because without this it will not work. So what we need to do here is first of all create a constant, and let's say here this will be the version color. And what I'm talking about with the loop together is basically we need to get these here, which are all individually. We have to put them together in an array like this: v 3.1, comma v 3.2, etc., etc. Same with the users. So it will understand and grab this, but of course it needs to show the data correctly because we have here a new array and it doesn't understand how to read this array. So we need to prepare everything for Chartjs. Very important here. Sounds complicated. Don't worry, it is not. Or at least I'm going to show you exactly how. So what we're going to do here now, we have the constant v color, which will be our, I guess, our color item. Well, this one will be important later on. But what we need more is basically the users, version user, which is basically this one here. So we say here v users, and then we have another one here, which will be the v, what could this be? Maybe was this the labels, just to make it more descriptive or proper description. And this could be the version labels, and I'm talking about version labels is just this one here. If you are on Safari, you would get grep 9, 10, and 11. I don't even know if this even exists. Anyway, fictional as well. So, this is basically this, and then of course the color. What we want to do, make sure that if we click on Chrome, we get the green colors and not any other default color that we have already set up. How are we going to do this now? So we're going to create here, alright, so that's basically in this one here. We don't have to make here a blank array, but we're going to use here the map functionality, which I absolutely enjoy using because it's very powerful. So what are we going to do? We're going to say we want to go into the browser data. This is the constant. So basically what we're going to say here, we go in here, and then what we want to do here, we want to go into the specific browser. And that specific browser is basically the array number. So this would be 0, this one will be 1, and this will be 2. And here's the hint. Of course, we know now how we can, when we click on it, we get the value. So we are able to send this over. And this makes it very powerful. So what we're going to do here now is we have the browser data, and then we say here, grabbing the browser value. This is a number, remember. That's the number that we move from here. From the change chart, we transfer this value here into this item here. Alright, so we have this. And then we say here, because we need to go more down. Where specifically we need to go in here. In the version data. Why? Because that's the breakdown of the operating information. This operating information, and here we have the breakdown of whatever is up above here. Alright? That makes sense, of course, because it is the data structure. If you don't understand it, please watch the data structure video for that. So then what I say here, dot map. So that's the map functionality. And in the map functionality, we're going to loop through all these items now. So what we're going to say here is labels, and this labels here is basically all the map data. So we are in here, and then we can break it down and go in here, or go into this part here, because basically it says part here, and from here we can get whatever we need, versions or users. So in here, make sure we have these curly braces here, enter, and then we say the following. I'm going to say here, the first thing what I want to do here is the color. I'm going to grab the color, but the color, this is, pay attention, the color is not in the labels or what I have here, because this labels would be basically equal to this. That's the shorthand. So, but the colors is not. Why? Where's the colors located? Let's look at it. When we are here, we get the colors immediately in here. So that will mean that in data browser, colors, that's immediately one. So that's the only one we're going to outside of the labels area here. So we say you push, we're going to grab this value here, including the data browser, or we include this, the browser. We will show us if it's 1, 0, or 2, and then we say here dot color. So we're going to push this, and it will loop through it X amount of time, depending on how many, as you can see here, how many version data we have. And we want this because if we have 3 items, we need to loop it 3 times. That's basically what we're doing here. Because this here already is an array. Where is that? The data here. Yeah, let's see, where are you? Let's look at it, Sorry, I need to just search for that. this one here, the background color and the border color is already set as an array. So we're not able to do this. Maybe we could reassign that equals this, but I know that something it gives an error, or it's a bit buggy that when you hover over then the color changes. So I don't want to make, or I want to make sure it's completely erased and just start with our new fresh version that will overwrite everything here. So the color is immediately correctly well done. Alright, so we have this here. The next thing what we need to do here, enter, and then we say here v users. And then here the v users is dot push, and here of course we're going to push, basically push this blank array here now. And then what we're going to do here, v users is labels dot users, as you can see here. So basically this is the starting point here, because that's this here. The labels is equal to this here, and then we have the users. So once we did this, semicolon here, and then we can do another one, and that's the labels itself. For the labels, we don't have to do a push. Why? Because we already have this one. The map array will automatically build an array with this. So what we're going to say here, all we say here is a return. And what are we going to return here? Labels, which is the labels here, dot version, which is this one here. So put that in here, paste that in here, semicolon. Alright, so I tend to do now more of the semicolon, as I realize that it's good practice for me, because if I use PHP and you don't use semicolon, you get into trouble. Well, JavaScript doesn't need to do it, so I realize that I'm getting my habit of not using semicolons here in JavaScript, but it will affect my PHP knowledge or coding. So that's why I start to do that again. Anyway, it's up to you if you want or not, especially if you don't use PHP, it doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, so we have this. So now we have this here. Let's look at this. Let me show you here what we have here. If I do a console log here, and just say labels, v labels, save this, refresh. If I click here, look at this. We get now the labels, which is all matching in our data. Beautiful. All matching here with the Firefox. We have another one here for the Apple or Safari, what. So that is basically the core. But of course, now we need to update the chart. So let's start to update the chart here. So what we need to, how do we update it? Well, let's go back here up. You probably know this, you should know this, definitely if you watch this video, because this is important. What we're going to do here, what we want to update is a few things. I want to update the label here to whatever we selected. If we select Chrome, I don't want to show any more market share, the browser, but then I want to show the specific browser that we selected, which is Chrome. Then what I want to do here is, this data here should be now matching with whatever we have, the new data, plus the background color must match as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items that we're going to change. So let's do this right now. So in here, we're going to say the following. We're going to say here, my chart dot config dot, or let me explain how we get there. My chart config, in config we go to data, and from data we go here into whatever we need. Well, in this case, data sets, which is now of course 0 as well, because it's just a default, it's only one data set we have. We just change and update it. And here data, background color, etc, etc. So let's do the data first. So we say here, we already, that's this one here, sorry. My chart config, and then we say here data dot data sets 0 dot data. Alright, so once we have this, the next thing we want to do here, of course, is equal to the value we have. The value that we have here in the data would be, if I'm not mistaken, here the users. That's this one here. Alright. So next one what I want to do here, just for the sake of it, just immediately, not data is the labels. Let's see what's the labels here. Is it that one? No, it is. It's not the labels, sorry. So we have to see here. What are we going to change here would be the labels. Oh, sorry, it is the labels. My apologies. It is the labels. So we need to do here, of course, the labels. They say the labels will be, of course, the labels. That's why we have this here. Next one here will be this. And this here will be the color, v color. And then we say the v color will be in the data set. We have here the background color. And of course, besides the background color, let's check. It is the border color. So we have all 4 items, am I correct? I'm not sure. I think we're still missing one, which is the label itself. So let's grab this label and start doing this as well. Then we say here the following for the label. Let's see here. We say here as well, my chart. We just copy this. And then we need to double check here for the label. This is in the data set, am I correct? Let's see here. I think it's not. Oh, it is, sorry. It is in the data set label, that one. Alright. So we say here, label equal, and then we have here, what is this? The specific value. So how do we get this value? Remember, we have the browser here. So what we can do here is browser data, which is the constant. Then we say here browser. And then what we want here is dot, and then probably here we can say get the browser name. What is that? Browser itself. So then we have to double check, semicolon here. Once we did this, we will say my chart dot update. Save this, refresh, and now if I click on it, you can see here now it starts to update, and there's something wrong here. I thought so. Alright, so let's start to solve it. What happened is our label is not correct here. So let me double check here. What am I missing? And if I scroll up here, where's the label located? Alright, the label is located in here. So we're going to adjust this one here. And let's scroll down here. What we need to do here is the following. So it is not in the data set, the labels. It is just meaning data labels. So normally we also have this here. So I noticed that maybe we have a semi weird structure. So let me explain this. Well, this is still working. As you can see here now, this works. We have a problem here as well. I'm going to explain later on how we're going to solve this one here. Because here, as you can see here, it doesn't make sense. But the reason why this happened is because this is still index 1 or 0, 1, and 2. So click on this, this will work. But if I click here, nothing happens. It doesn't recognize this. But if I say this is number 2, then you can see here it gets Safari, which is correct. And here's Firefox. Alright, so let me explain you a little bit here. What I noticed here that maybe this is not really the labels. Should we fix this? I will leave it for now, because this is so complicated, and to fix this would take some extra time. We have this here, this and the versions and this. And remember, we had a data structure. So I realized that we should basically rebuild our data structure in an object. And we can do this, but for now, I'll probably make a separate topic for that one, a video for that. We could do that as well, but then we have the object, and this is the reason why we have now these labels here, because you might say, well, hold on. We have comment out the labels here, and suddenly we add labels down here. Yes, because we have what we call a not proper data structure. What I really needed is basically this. Basically, these two here should be shown in there, in the data structure, and then it should work fine, because it will recognize it. But sadly enough, I didn't prepare this in advance, so I will not work on this for now. If you want to have that, just put it in the comment section below. I'll make sure I'll get back to that. So what we're going to do here is the following then. Let's solve the issue, the core issue, because right now this works here. So this works, I will accept that, and we don't have to perfect it if it works fine. But what we need to do here, of course, because we have to do a reset button. We'll work on that on in another part, sorry. But what we want to do here now is this should be avoided if we have clicked on it. Because if we click on Safari, there's no more deeper. We cannot go deeper in Web 11. So we want to avoid the clickable action, and of course we have to remove then this, you can see here the tool, but not the tooltip, the cursor. So this pointer should be converted into a default, meaning that you are not anymore able to click here. So how do we solve this quickly? Well, simply in here. Let's see, we have this change browser here on the click handler. So in this click handler, what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to put in here a simple if statement. This if statement will just measure only one thing. Because look at it, I'm going to show you what we're going to measure. See the text here. If you click on this, you see the text change. So what we can do is the following. If the label or whatever the title is here equals to market share, we can click. If it is not market share, what we can do then is hide the tooltip action. Or not the tooltip, sorry. The cursor action. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to hide the cursor here first. So we say here if in my chart .config data.datasets 0, remember, because we only have one data set here. And then we say here dot label. If this equals very strict or equals strict, what's the value? Let's see. This is the label here, equals this specific text. If this is equal to that, in that case, we're just going to move all this in here. Put that in there. And there we are. Save that. Refresh. Now if I click, let's see. It does work still. Alright. Oh, that's the click handler. Alright, fair enough. You can see here, that's the click handler. So we already solved that one. Now I try to click. It doesn't do anything anymore. So it recognizes our action. So now let's fix the tooltip. Tooltip, same logic here. So we're going to grab this here. You can just copy this entire item. And let's look at here. Change browser. No, what I want is the hover effect. Where are you? I think it's here. Am I correct? Yes, it's the on hover. So what we're going to do here in the on hover is exactly the same as well. So what we're going to do here in the on hover is exactly the same. Just here on hover, and then here we have that one-liner if statement. What I want to do is, instead of using another one-liner, I want to avoid too many one-liners. And the reason why is that you can see this here, while this is very nice and concise, it's very hard to read this. So I want to just make a simple one so we can easily follow along. Here, say if the label equals market share, in that case, we do this. Alright. So we have this one here, semicolon, save. Refresh here now. Look at this. Alright, if I click on this, do I see the item? Alright. Apparently it doesn't work. So let me just quickly check what am I missing here. If this equals the market share. Oh, alright. So let me explain why it's not. So what we need to do now, because we have an if statement here, I forgot to put an else if. So what we need to do here, we have this, or am I correct? Do we have this? Alright. And then here, else. And then here, closing. And else, if that's not the case, what I want to do is just a default. So I say here, I'm going to grab this, equals, oh sorry, this is this equals, this is equal sign, default. Semicolon, save. Refresh. Click, look at this. You can see it immediately removes it. Click, there you are. Click, there you are. And if I try to click now anything, it doesn't work. So now we really have completed the item here. Of course, we still need to create the reset button. And the reset button will be, of course, built in here. I don't want an ugly button outside here. I want it built in here. So that will be the next part. We're going to focus on the nice button that we can put in here that will reset the chart.